part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Chase Smith, founder and CEO of Press Play Podcast. You may have heard me on the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast with Jeremy Powell, now wonderfully hosted by Holly Wetzel, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast with Sam Amico, or my own podcast, the Chase Smith Podcast. I wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about a brand new subscription-based podcast we're offering this football season, the Press Play Sports Podcast. This premium podcast feed will send all of the sports podcasts offered on the Press Play Podcast Network to one central feed. Yes, you can still follow and subscribe to all of our individual shows for free on every podcast platform. But if you wanted to consolidate your podcast feed and listen to them all in one location, the Press Play Sports Podcast is for you. I'm talking the Oranges and Oranger Browns podcast with Holly Wetzel and Jeremy Powell, Red Guy and Rhoda, Sable Brothers on the Baseline, Cavs on the Break, the Dennis Maniloff Show, the Ball Card Show, the Premium Fantasy Podcast, a Swing in a Tribe MLB podcast, and the Tim and Shipe Show, a college football podcast, all in one feed. All 9 of our sports shows curated into one single podcast feed. Out the door, you're looking at $5.36 a month after tax. That's $5.36, just about the cost of a drink at Starbucks. And this is only offered on Apple Podcasts. You can't get this anywhere else. It's an Apple Podcast exclusive. Just go to the search bar and search Press Play Sports. It'll come up and you can subscribe from there. We're excited to offer this consolidated, curated sports feed for you to enjoy. And as always, thank you so much for listening and your support.
This episode of the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Align Health Center. Align Health Center is the first chiropractic biophysics clinic in Northern Ohio. The team at Align Health Center helps patients with back pain, neck pain, migraines, ADHD, digestive issues, sleep disturbance, whiplash, scoliosis, and much more. And along with chiropractic biophysics, Align Health Center is also the leading clinic in regenerative medicine, also known as stem cell injections. And listen, you don't have to be an NFL player to get it done or have this treatment. If you have low back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, or arthritis, check out the Regenerative Medicine Clinic at Aligned Health Center. Come in for a free consultation, complete with imaging and x-rays to see how Aligned Health Center can help you. No multiple shots are needed, and it's complete with physical therapy built into the process, so there's no downtime. And look, it gets even better. Align Health Center doesn't charge people for x-rays or exams, and they don't bill you later. They let you know right away the cost. They're upfront and transparent. They are number one for a reason. Call Align Health Center today at 440-385-7357 or visit their website at alignedhealthcenters.com to make an appointment and to learn more about how Align Health Center can help you. Again, that's 440-385-7357 or visit alignedhealthcenters.com.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribb! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They blocked the kick!
All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome into the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. I'm your host, Holly Wetzel, at Holly and Liz on Twitter. And we have a special stand-in today for Jeremy, the OG Orange is Oranger host, Chase Smith. Chase, what is up? Welcome back. I'm so excited to be doing this with you today.
I'm very excited too. I have this goofy grin on my face just because
I was like, can you hear me smiling while I'm talking? Because I feel like I have the same big, huge smile on my face. I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah. Jeremy texted me this morning. He's like, hey, I got a lot going on. I got a big favor to ask. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jay, hey, whatever you need, man, I'm here. He was like, I might need you to do Orange is Oranger for me today. I was like, bro, I got you. And I was just like expecting like, hey, can you come up and, I don't know, dinner or taking someone somewhere, but it was this. And so Jeremy, T's and P's to your brother, whatever's going on. But we got you here at the Orange is Oranger. And Holly, I cannot be more pumped to talk about the Browns. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I know your favorite part.
I recorded a podcast on the Chase Smith podcast Sunday night, just because I've been off the mic for so long, and it's a weird new reality. I love this show. You guys doing an incredible, but I went from doing 3 or 4 episodes a week to doing almost none. And so let's go. I'm all chomping at the bit, Holly. Let's do it.
Well, I believe we might as well get all the pleasantries out now, since we're going to be talking about Baker Mayfield, and Chase is about the president of Baker's fan club. So I'm not used to either. Like Jeremy and I actually agree on quite a bit. There's certain things that we don't.
Mhm.
We actually had a good discussion about Lamar last week. But anyway, so this is going to be, we'll get into Baker. I'm not going to fight you on it too hard, but I'm hoping that you're seeing the realistic sides of things, but we'll get into that. But
Okay.
what the biggest news right now as we record is just this ridiculous COVID crap. I can't tell you how over it I am, Chase. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's so many people, but this really, really blows for us coming up here on Sunday. There's 8 total now, because there's 2 guys on the practice squad technically.
Mhm.
So it's Wyatt Teller, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Tack McKinley, Jedrick Wills, and then JoJo Natson and Ross Travis off the practice squad. So, and Drew Forbes, sorry. So, I was trying to find right before the show started, like any type of new odds, and obviously nothing's really up yet, but, with our offensive line, offensive starters out right now with this, we're in shambles. We are going to get killed against the Raiders' strong pass rush. I'm nervous. So talk to me, Chase, about your COVID concerns and how in the world Baker's been able to avoid it, by the way.
Yeah. So we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, and this is an ongoing developing situation. Like they just released the names of the players currently who have tested positive, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, which is Wednesday for us, Thursday. Pretty early on Tuesday morning released that the Browns camp all went lockdown mode, shut down, all virtual. And so there were, hey, a lot of big names going to be on the list. I mean, that's a huge hit to our offense, Holly. Landry was finally finding a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Hopper, who, stays in the air, can't stay on his feet. He had some momentum. Wills, who's been in the news the past couple of days, can't stay out of Cleveland Twitter.
I want to talk to you about that too, because you and I haven't had a chance to really talk about the drama side of Browns, obviously. So, but anyway, keep going.
No, yeah, I talked to Chris McNeil at Reflog about it on my podcast. We had a fun segment called More of a Problem. Anyway, I'd love to talk about it. It was great. And so I think our offense is going to feel the brunt of this. I would expect a lot of screens, hopefully, and to get the ball out of Baker's hands, screens, swing passes. I'm not expecting a lot deep. I am expecting Donovan Peoples-Jones to have a huge, at least targeted game, which, by the way, Holly, his catch along the sideline in the first half was chef's kiss. Ooh, boy. Very
pretty. Just as pretty as your new blonde bleached hair that I'm staring at right now. And you guys, no one can see this, but Chase decided to just go straight up, like hot blonde. So
yes. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of Eminem, Guy Fieri, some people I've had a lot of really, really interesting reactions. A couple of people, someone started speaking Spanish to me. They thought I was Hispanic. And I've gotten that twice. Oh my God. I've gotten that twice.
Really?
Yes. A couple Bieber comments, but yeah, it's for those of you that can't see, I haven't posted it, but I did like a short Instagram story. But it is buzzed and completely bleached blonde. Yeah. Holly, your hair looks great. You got it dark.
I know. Eli, our producer, he was like, hey, you dyed your hair. And I was going to be like, yeah, thanks. And then Chase, I saw Chase because I hadn't had my camera up yet on Zoom. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, well, I thought you might be talking about me. I did. I went darker.
And the middle part.
Well, I'm channeling my inner, cool. What's the Gen Zs? Is that what it is?
I think that's what they are called. Yeah.
I just call this. I haven't washed my hair in a few days, and I got to go running. So it's that type of chic. I guess that's what happens when you're in your mid 30s. So. Yeah,
you dye your hair, and
we both did.
We both did. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So yeah, Browns. JoJo Natson, just an incredible catch. I'm expecting to force feed him and to force feed Chubb because Hunt was injured, and
he's questionable for this week still.
And so I think our offense, who already had some, adversity to kind of work through, they're going to see the brunt of that. But what we're finding, Holly, is that we're defensive led team that as our defense goes, this team goes. And that's been the tune for about a month and a half since the Patriots game, really. That, hey, if our defense is buzzing and humming, then our offense feeds off of that. And so I think because our defense is relatively healthy, I don't see, Tack McKinley, that's going to be a hit. But
he had a great game last week.
He did. So I think because our defense is still relatively intact, and at the end of the day, we have Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and they're playing out of their minds. Clowney's playing incredible. JOK is playing great. We're getting Phillips back. So a lot of positive things on defense that I think is going to keep us in this game. I don't know if we're going to cover the 6.5, which is what we were favored as, but that's how I kind of see maybe Sunday going against the Raiders, not to get too far ahead, but COVID is a thing. And this isn't just Cleveland centric. Other NFL teams, the Rams are getting hit hard. So it'll be interesting to see if the Ravens are affected by it too.
Yeah. It's definitely going around. And just even on a local level, everyone across the board is getting it. And even like Jeremy and I talked last week, my family had it. It's this Delta variant, it's crazy. So it does make me wonder though, Jeremy and I also talked last week, Chase, about how, the bye week, were we worried at all about what the guys were going to be doing on over bye week? Should they have maybe stayed around and quarantined? It was kind of eerily quiet over the bye week.
Yes.
With all the players. A little strange. Usually you see something a little bit more. I know some of the players traveled. We don't know where they went. And they have a right to do that. Like that is what it is. But at this point in time now, you have to ask that question, because if we lose Sunday, and again, it's not just because of the bye week. I know that, like you said, that the Rams are in trouble with it. OBJ just tested positive.
And
played
the Bulls,
last night.
the Warriors,
Bulls,
it's not only just the NFL either. It's all over professional sports.
It is, but it does make you question, are the protocols, should they be stronger and be put back in place closer to what they were last year? And so I can't help but think that had these protocols been stronger in place, that, we would be having these issues. I don't know. And also on top of that, last year, Jeremy and I talked about the fact that did those COVID protocols kind of force them to have to focus only on football because they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't do anything. There were no distractions. So yeah, it does raise that question. And again, that's not just for the Browns, that's for all the teams, but we just happened to flourish in that. And I think there was a lot of discipline last year that we didn't have. And, that leads it into the smaller comments now that are getting pushed out. Because I want to talk to you about this too, Chase, about how, what's really going on in the locker room. Jeremy and I always say, like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And is there bigger issues going on between Stefanski and Baker? Mary Kay Cabot who writes for Cleveland.com, wrote about this a little bit. All of these things do start to bubble up, and you wonder if I don't think it's one thing. I think it's COVID. I think there's frustration. I think Baker's, injuries are up to a certain extent, but he had no excuse last week. And he actually played well last week. I'm not going to get down on him. I think he played well last week. And he made the conservative comment, which that leads to Stefanski, and should he be playing call? So there's a lot of factors going into this.
Yes.
It's not one thing, but where do you see, of all of these issues that are bubbling up for you, what do you think is probably the biggest one that's maybe causing a lot of the mediocre football play?
I think whatever internal dysfunction Baker's talking about, I think that's an issue. I think winning fixes everything.
Yes.
And so you start looking at the Browns schedule, host the Ravens at Lambeau, host the Bengals in Pittsburgh. We win 2 or 3 of those games, and if not very, very close to the playoffs, I don't know a team that makes a deep run in the playoffs that have as much internal dysfunction or have as much players talking smack to the Cleveland fans or responding to the Cleveland media. Like that doesn't happen. And so I think that is more of a concern to me than some of these injuries, some of the COVID stuff. We've played through adversity, all of Stefanski's tenure, all of Baker's career. There's always been something. These positive tests are just another, hey, well, that's just, what else do we have to play through? What else is going to happen? But internally, that speaks to Holly, that speaks to culture. And it is so weird that in the offseason, it was such a quiet offseason. There was no Cheesecake Factory. There was no player arrested for weed. Like there was none of that. It was a very, very quiet offseason. And all of a sudden, when the season starts, then all this outside noise started becoming inside noise, and the inside noise amplified the outside noise. It was very, very weird for this kind of like culture that we thought we had.
Yeah.
And to have a bye week that was as quiet as it was, there is something going on. And it speaks to the culture that the team doesn't have, that we all thought that we had, this positive team first, Stefanski, Baker culture. That is not there, Holly. That is not there. And when that's not there, there is not a team that makes a run in the postseason that doesn't have that culture. And I'm talking about the culture like the Titans, who have dealt with a ton of injuries.
Yeah.
They continue to play and win. Like,
look at even Baltimore. I mean, I know we beat them, but barely last week, and they are ravaged. They have 20 on IR, right? So there's no excuse really for around it, because unfortunately, Chase, I really do think that if Lamar came back in that game, I don't know if we would have won, and I don't know, maybe we wouldn't have let up as much as we did, but in the second half, but we were non-existent the entire second half outside of our defense.
Yeah, so I think some of this internal, adversity or dysfunction, whatever Baker's speaking to, I think that's more of like that's a huge red flag that needs addressed. Now, I don't know if you saw this, Holly, or what you think of this, but Austin Hooper just went on Jim Rome, who's a big fan of the Browns. He calls the Browns America's team. Like, he loves it. My
favorite thing ever.
And he's sang Baker's praises. Did you see that interview?
No, I didn't.
He sang Baker's praises. He's, his toughness is, you don't have to, it goes without saying, but he spoke to his leadership and spoke to how that resonates in the locker room. And so I have no clue what's going on, Holly. I don't know. And credit to you. We talked on the phone a couple of days ago, and you were the first person who I've ever heard say, maybe Baker's angling to get out of Cleveland. And I was like, Holly, in my heart, what are you talking about? Like,
I forgot about that. It was a couple weeks ago. It was a while ago.
And so I have no clue what's going on, Holly, but that is the biggest red flag to me. Not so much the injuries, not so much COVID. The Browns can play through that. But it's this internal, whatever's going on. Like, you don't see that in teams that make a successful postseason run. Holly, what do you think?
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you. I think that all the other stuff is our formalities, and it's just our new normal. Well, injuries have always been a normal for us. COVID has become a new normal. It's, whether or not they could have gotten it from each other. Someone could have seen a relative over the bye week and passed it. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that, I know that there was rumors that Scottish Hammer was out again, gallivanting around town, and then took all these pictures off that he had posted after this stuff came out. I mean, at the end of the day, boy, oh boy, social media is a whole other discussion when it comes to these players. But that does play a big part in this, because
it does.
When you say Austin Hooper's singing Baker's praises, I believe that. I think that there's a divide. I've heard that from a couple different sources that there is a divide in the locker room, and it really started with OBJ. And when he left, it's kind of split. And Baker just seems so, from what he used to be. And I know that he's frustrated. I don't blame him. I know that he's playing through pain. I know that this is not the way he thought the season was going to go, all of the above. And I know that he's very sensitive. And I think he is. I think he's very insecure, Chase. I think there's an insecurity level there, as much as he acts like he doesn't have, that he has no problem and he's, Mr. Tough Guy. Like, I think he is insecure. I think there's a lot of that. And some people are more sensitive to the limelight than others and the criticism than others. But when you let that take over now, and I feel like it is starting to take over, this negativeness is coming around. He just seems very unhappy in a lot of different ways. And I can't help but think, okay, so if that's the case, Jeremy's like, nope, he's for sure the starter next year. And now that more I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if he is. Not necessarily that they
Baker's
could bring
going to be
someone
our starter next year. You guys are
Chase, I just don't know, because, and it's not that I think that it's because Baker's playing well enough, of course, to be still the starter right now. There's not like we have any other major options. And I do think if they brought someone in, it would be a good challenge. Actually, I think it would be a great challenge for him. I think it would light a little bit of a fire. But like you said, it's definitely more on a mental, moral level of what's going on there. And clearly him and Stefanski aren't on the same page. I mean, we blew off the OBJ stuff. We were like, there's no problem. And that's rumors. And fuck no, it was not.
Right.
Just rumors.
Right. I want to add one more thing to this. And I caught this, and it was another kind of like, whoa, that's messed up. And if I was Baker, I would be upset and territorial and stuff. Did you catch Stefanski's post-game speech on Instagram that the Browns posted?
Yes, I did.
Did you swipe right and listen to all of it, the rest of it?
No, I didn't.
So on the second post, it's okay. On the second post, he's going through in 95, way to go. And number 90, he's calling numbers. And he's like, guys, it wasn't hard. Wasn't hard, but you guys worked hard. You're resilient. And he goes through his like smart thing. And then he said this, he goes, in case, what do we say about hard things? In case Keenum shouted out, it's good work or something. Like, yeah, he asked in a post-game speech, the backup to respond to one of his like quips or culture building things. And I heard that and I was like, yo, if I'm the starting quarterback of this squad and there's already a bunch of noise that's going on and my head coach asks my backup what he wants to hear, like, I'm going to be not only super upset, but I'm going to be insecure. I'm going to be like, well, screw you, man. What the heck? Why can't you ask me that? Why do I not know that? Why don't we have that rapport? And I know that they, have a history, which is fine. You can have that. But in a post-game victory speech, when you're praising Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, like, the coach needs to go to you to answer that, not a backup quarterback who there's already rumors of why isn't he starting over Baker to begin with.
Right. Yeah. Good. That's a great point. And I think that, it does beg the question then from the beginning of the season to now. Like, I almost feel like it's been flopped a little bit where Stefanski was covered Baker every week. Like, it's on me, protected him every week. And now there's these little things that are coming out, but it does go back to in the beginning of the season when we lost, I think it was to the Chargers and,
which is a huge loss, by the way. Like, it was this looming huge
loss. Yes. And even the Kansas City game when Baker had a chance to win, I think that Stefanski, maybe that trust has waned. Maybe that is getting confirmed that maybe he doesn't really trust him as much, but then again, at the same time, I think to myself, like, okay, well, we should be running the ball more. Clearly, we abandon the run way too early every week. So is he putting Baker out there to see what he can do? I don't know. There's so many things that could mean, and maybe it could mean nothing, but I don't believe that either because
there is something there. And it is concerning because the quarterback head coach relationship is so crucial in the NFL and playoffs and in games. I mean, that goes without saying, but Baker, you want to regain the trust of your quarterback and the fans and the media. Go out and win us a game and, a home game against the Raiders to help us in the playoffs. You want to really change the tune of the season, go into Lambeau and beat the best team in the NFL right now. Holly, we have these next 2 weeks that can really change the ceiling and the course of this season. And I'm super pumped about it. And I don't know. There's no other, and this is going to sound insane. You're going to roll your eyes and you're going to hate it.
Oh God.
There's no other quarterback I'd rather have under center for the Cleveland Browns than someone who has had to fight through adversity, had to fight through people not believing in him, than Baker Mayfield. I mean,
And fine. Like, I get that. And I would even say when all the Browns quarterbacks outside of Bernie, like, sure. Right. Like, that's not that we had
Let's go.
a lot of great ones to compare him to, but at the same time though, like what are we doing in Cleveland that's so different from any other city right now in criticism of our professional football team in our city? What are we doing different? What are we doing to the fact that all these family members and wives and all this shit keeps coming out and not just saying like, for the most part, not just saying like calling out the team as a whole, which Emily Mayfield did, and then tried to take it down and say she didn't read the whole thing. Bullshit.
I believe. I believe her. I
give
believe
me a break.
that. I do.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. And
I believe it.
She
only
and then
because
Carly
she reposted like every other tag, and I think it just. I don't know what her mentions, DMs. I didn't even want to imagine what Emily Mayfield tags notifications look like. But if you're just like, hey, good job, and it was like the last line of like a paragraph thing. I can see it
start out
like
Baker's not the one to blame, blah, blah. Like that's how it basically started. This was not on Baker. Like it's just not, just don't like, yeah. I love.
Agreed.
There's a line there where it's only going to get, you have a right to say and defend yourself as much as you want, but for sure. But what's happening that I see now that is a super telltale sign is that these criticisms are coming for Baker personally, not just the overall team. Most of them, some of them are right. Some are coming at the fans. Baker came at the fans. Baker comes at the press, and the actual complaints like OBJ's dad posting that video. Yeah, sure. But then in the freaking comments, just blasting him.
Yeah.
And then Kareem Hunt's dad. Like, I don't get it. And they're coming for him personally, which tells me that yes, there is certainly issues here. He is not happy. I do question next year. And Jeremy and I always say this, Chase, the things that we love about Baker are the things that we don't like about Baker.
Yep.
Because you love his grit. Like you said, you love his toughness, all of that. And I think that when he puts his mind to something, and I love that when he's kind of, his feet are held to the fire, he definitely shows up. But it's like, why does it have to come to that? For him to wake up and why does he need a chip on his shoulder? And is he creating that in his own head? Whatever would make him feel better to play, right? But at this point now, OBJ's gone. He's best he's felt in the first week. I mean, yeah, he had a good game. He had a decent game last week, sure. But it's still like it's this mediocre. And yes, I think it is coming from a lot of different levels. But for sure, there's a major disconnect. I think the locker room is divided.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm not really connected to Bills Mafia, to the Eagles, to these other teams that have these young quarterbacks that are struggling. You know, I know Josh Allen. I have him starting on my fantasy team, and he has not done me any favors at all. I don't know how the Bills, like insane, passionate Bills fans treat Josh Allen. I don't know. I don't know how Eagles fans are talking about Jalen Hurts with Minshew coming. You know, I don't know those conversations. But I do know that Cleveland Browns fans, they love their team, like almost to an unhealthy love, right? And the good and the bad, we care about our team. And I think a lot of us collectively have a little PTSD from all the quarterbacks. And maybe that's why I love Baker so much, because we have a potential franchise guy, and we have this person who we have seen accomplish some of these things that we only dreamt about, going into Pittsburgh in a playoff, like, and maybe, you know, I don't know.
No, I think Chase, you're right. I was going to say that. I think that you are part of that. No offense.
No.
About that whole, that the PTSD type, just why can't we be happy type of mentality. Not saying that you're happy with the play or you're happy with our progress, but you are definitely not. And not obviously saying like Baker's not the guy. Again, it's it's really hard, and especially being a Cleveland Browns fan and speaking up about it on any type of social media platform,
Right.
because you're automatically assumed that you're in one bucket or the other. That's just the world that we live in now. You're one side or the other. There's no gray area anymore on anything. And it's very frustrating because the majority of the people are in the gray area. Like, I love Baker Mayfield. I say this every week. I wanted him. Like, yes. And it's so frustrating. And you're allowed to be frustrated with the level of play, with the lack of, I think he can be disrespectful. I think you need to respect the media there to do their job. You need to respect the fans that they're paying. I don't agree with, I don't think anyone should be booed for their job, but you can't compare an NFL, professional player versus, and Wyatt's White, Carly, like you can't, I don't care. She reposted it. It was something from 2019. Like it just got floated back up, but you're calling grocery workers out. Like you can't do that. You have to think twice about this. And that is what comes with it. And I agree with you. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo or, where they're getting booed, but I do know that I think we are extra sensitive because we have something and everyone's like, why can't you just be happy with it? And it's like, well, now that we've gotten a taste of it and then it gets put away, like that might be even worse so quickly. Like we thought our expectations for the season were just beyond, and it sucks. And even if they do make it, Chase, like you said, like they're not going to go far.
No, they're not. No, I think at the end of the day, Holly, it speaks to the culture that the Browns don't have, that we don't have established. And that's ultimately going to be our downfall because there's just too much noise. Unless, and I mentioned this, they go rattle off 7 straight, right? Like you guys laughed at me because we lost to maybe Baltimore. I don't remember. Time is just the
last time you were
on?
It's
a joke. Yeah. I don't even know. But
it's Cardinals, wasn't it?
I don't remember. It was early in the season, but unless they rattle off 5 or 6 straight here to the end of the season, and everyone just kind of brushes it under the rug and we just kind of ride this wave, that is how I don't know. But I do think a win in Lambeau would do that.
Well, yeah, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think, especially now, we're not tough enough on so many other levels that we were last year to go in and maybe even win this weekend, because we overcame a lot last year, but we were all very united. It was all a very positive, united, focused bunch. And it is not like that. And that's what I think helped carry over a lot. And I think that's why our defense, honestly, is playing so well too. I think that's a tight knit group, and Miles is the leader of that. And I think that's a big portion. And if you look, then you compare it to the offense and what's going on with Baker and everything else, they're in shambles. So you got to wonder, well, okay, then are we mentally tough enough to move to get a win if we are, hindered by COVID or injuries? I don't think so.
It's almost like our defense is too good to be bad, or too good to have some of this stuff get in the way. And our offense is not good, almost period. Like there's just some, Conklin being out, there's a lot of our offense that they have to overcome. Our defense, I think, is the strongest part of our team. I think it's going to be the strongest part of our team for the next 3 to 5 years. And I'm super excited. And I think that's what gives us hope going against this Raiders team. Going into the Lambeau, defense, home field doesn't matter about defense. I really think you get, I don't know. That's another conversation, but all that to say, I had full confidence in our defense through the end of this season to give us a chance in all these games.
Who do you think is calling for instance, we felt like we've said that Baker may fit. He's not that type of quarterback, to have hundreds and hundreds of, passing yards every game. We're a run first team, and that the scheme, Baker can be a good to great quarterback, not elite, good to great, if he, has the Stefanski scheme around him. If that's what we're going with, and the run game is going to be the dominant piece here. This year, obviously things have changed with that, and we're not seeing that anymore. And Stefanski's been figured out, and he's not, like I said, he's abandoning the run, obviously very early. do you think the push for Baker to throw more, for us to abandon the run, is more of a Stefanski-led idea, or do you think it's more of a Baker? Because the obvious choice would obviously be, of course, Stefanski, but I think Baker has been more heavily involved with him playing every week when he was hurt, him wanting to get more reps. And I know that he's fighting for a contract. And I'm wondering if that also caused a hindrance between those two.
Man, he was so salty last week when he had to sit out that series after he was injured. Did you see, like, CBS had this camera that's like, he was so mad. I don't even think he knew who to be mad at, because I think there's a league rule where he had to stay out since he was in the tent for something. But he was so mad on the sideline. He was just like huffing and puffing, walking, and his mouth was moving. I would love to know, Holly, the amount of percentage of plays Baker audibles to something different. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know. Here's what I know. Here's what I do know. I do know that Stefanski's in-game adjustments are dookie. Like, they are not very good.
No, clearly not.
And most of the time he has gotten out-coached. Our coach of the year, darling, who I've been suspect, Holly, from week 3 of last year. Everyone crapped on me because against the Cowboys, I didn't like. Anyway, I'm just going to let that go. But this is not a trend we've seen this year. We had big league leads last year that we kind of became a turtle, shelled ourselves, and teams would come. But this is nothing new. This is the games that it worked against, we were like, oh, that's amazing. That's how football's won. It was still like a 1-possession game. If we didn't get 1 first down, then all of a sudden this is where we were last year. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like this is a different offense from last year. And I don't know if that's Alex Van Pelt. I don't know what role he plays in this, but I don't know what role Baker's injuries played. Like, I don't see a lot of bootlegs, rollouts.
Well, don't you feel like that's the point of all this too? We don't know what's going on. And because we get these very, very vague answers every week from everyone. And now we're getting like these little tidbits here and there that are negative. They're not, they're mostly negative. But that was what was really frustrating up until when Baker was injured, and was he not injured, and no one would really fucking say anything. It was so frustrating. I'm like, what's really going on? Like, because I feel like the more and more you try to like be blasé about it and brush over, and I know that that's a typical thing, but being open and honest to a certain extent that you can, that's trustworthy enough to say, hey, these are the things that we're dealing with right now, that we're working through. And, but add a little bit more color to those things. I think that helps people too, because then the fans have the NFL is a business, and you and I know that, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are still like, we're the most such a passionate fan base that's what is always seems to be brought up first. And those people, no offense to the people that are passionate fans, I think you're great, but there's other things to look for on all of this that's going on.
I think we'll just have to wait for the tell-all ESPN article from an inside unknown source that talks about Baker's years. And we'll just have to wait for then, Holly. Until then, we'll just have to dissect post-game interview speeches on Instagram. And that's what we do. It's I don't want to know how my chicken McNuggets are made. I just want to enjoy McDonald's nuggets. I don't want to know what goes into making a hot dog. And I willingly don't look into that.
But if it's bad, Chase, you are going to look into it, are you not? You're going to be like, what did I just eat? What's in this? Why does it taste like shit? And why did it make me sick? So now we're at a point where, wait a second, now we're questioning what's in the chicken nugget, because before it was, sure. Okay. Well, we're winning. And
but you know what? It doesn't stop me from ordering chicken nuggets again. I still go back.
But don't we all end up going back, right? Because we think again, next time it's going to be better, and can't happen twice.
Holly, I have a question for you. We beat the Ravens on Sunday. It was great. Awesome. A huge win. Keeps our season alive. It really turns the tables in the AFC North, but we didn't cover. And this is a whole new realm of like sports watching, just over the last 3 or 4 years, I feel like I've learned like what an over under means, what like how to like what a spread, like all that stuff. I didn't know that 5-6 years ago. It's just really the past couple years. I find myself bummed that we didn't cover because of X, Y, and Z that I won't share on air. Holly, is gambling kind of adding to this kind of like you can't enjoy a victory? Because you know what? 7 years ago, if we would have when Jeff Garcia beat the Ravens, I didn't care what the over under, the point total. I didn't care all that. We won. Yeah, it's awesome. Or any other time we beat anyone, we won. Whew, that was a close one. But now all of a sudden I find myself, how do we not cover a 2.5 point spread up 20 with 18 minutes ago or whatever? Now I'm like, what the heck? How do we like, I don't know. Do you feel like it's ruining a little bit of enjoyment?
Look, I think sports has been ruined ever since it became such a major business, because that's hands down, like across the board. I mean, I worked in distribution, cable distribution, negotiating television agreements for a good 7 years. Yeah. And let me tell you, it takes away from the entire idea of being a fan and all of that stuff, because it becomes a business. And I work in sports now. Sports is a business to me. And sometimes I like to come home, honestly, and not watch sports because I live and breathe it all day, listening to it all day. And I love it, but it's a business. And the gambling is no different, because at the end of the day, everyone's going to make more money. I'm going to make more money. A lot of businesses in Ohio are going to make money when it becomes legal here. But when you say you're investing in it because you're also putting your money and your time into it. Now you care. And if
the booze will be louder, there'll be more booze. That's for sure. Sorry, Jedrick.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing too. Like, it is what it is. I don't want to say that this is what you sign up for to a certain extent with those players, by the way, but they doesn't make it right, but it is what it is. And you can't pick and choose what you decide to complain about. But anyway,
hey, really quick before you go to break. So what do you watch to decompress from sports? What is your guilty pleasure? Are you Succession? Are you, are you,
I'm a TV fiend. I'm a TV fiend. I can't, it's insane. And it's because I worked in TV for so long and I had to watch shows when they were coming out. So I knew what we were going to be, promoting. And so it was like my job to like watch stuff before it came out and like, talk about it. So I became a TV junkie.
We can talk Succession during the break. I don't know if we want to subject these Browns fans. Do you watch Succession? I don't know.
Oh my God. Did you watch the finale?
Yes.
Oh, yes, Chase, it was so good.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That show I finally watched it last night. So yes, Succession. I just finished Hannah on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It was excellent.
Okay.
I really liked that. But Succession really is like one of those shows, my coworker and I were talking about this today, that one of those like really like elite top shows that like you're just so engaged. And it's been a good chunk of years that we've had a show like that, like The Sopranos and like Breaking Bad, and like Succession is moving up into that territory. I mean,
yes. I'm very glad that you can't binge everything. I like the 6 days to let it marinate and you get to talk about what could happen, theories.
Yeah.
It's not only the best written show, it's one of the funniest shows, and it's beautiful to watch. Like some of these like landscapes and like,
I know,
picturesque scenes, and just it's incredible. Loved it. It was great. And
so good.
Yeah, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but all right, we got Succession in the house. Good. It was great. It was good.
For sure. All right. Well, we will take a quick break and we'll come back and wrap up, and I'll get Chase's prediction for Sunday.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
Hey, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. I created this podcast to have hard conversations. Conversations that make us human but are also wildly uncomfortable. Conversations that help give voice to the voiceless and to the marginalized. Now you can listen to the entire first season on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Consider this your personal invitation to join the conversation.
Hey everybody, I'm Gary.
And I'm Jason. Opening cards as a kid, no matter what was in the pack, you always had that stick of chewing gum. Well, it turns out Gary and I opened up a box of 86 Tops last year, and let me tell you, the chewing gum does not age well.
Join us on the Ball Card Show,
the sports podcast for the sports collector.
This is Mike Voorhees, co-host of the Swing and a Tribe MLB podcast. If you love Cleveland Indians baseball, then this is the pod for you. We've got you covered each week as we talk about all the games, breaking news, trades, the roster, all things Tribe. You're going to love it. Go Tribe.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Want to hear more about your favorite TV shows and movies that are on countless streaming services?
Then listen to Up Next with your new favorite hosts, me, Kristen Aviles,
and me, Christina Walter.
Every other week, we'll highlight one genre, but 2 movies or TV shows, one old and one new.
We'll let you know what's hot and what's not from your favorite
or least favorite
streaming services.
And be sure to stay tuned to the end of each episode where we shout out an artist whose name you should know for their talent in the industry.
So follow us to stay up to date with your favorite hosts from Up Next,
a part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, we are back on the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. I'm Holly Wetzel at Holly and Liz on Twitter, and I am joined by the OG host, Mr. Chase Smith is back. I could say he's a different person because he got his blonde hair. I mean, I don't know. It could be like a brand new guest every time if he decides to change his hair up each appearance. But anyway, so we've been having a great conversation, Chase.
Great.
Actually, today.
I totally agree.
We've hit all kinds of points. So when this is put out, hopefully there are some more developments on the COVID stuff, and we will see where the Browns end up as we look to Sunday against the Raiders. So
Saturday
against the Raiders. Yeah. Man, I'm all over the place. I'm going to the Boca Raton Bowl this weekend for work.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm very excited. I get to I'll be on the field doing some stuff. So
amazing.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's gonna be 80 degrees at the beach.
Yeah, just suffering down there in your job.
I know, right? On a football field for college. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Just the life.
I'm just green with envy and jealous. That just sounds like amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I will be flying back. Well, I will be working actually right up until probably kickoff. So, and then getting on a flight right around, oh my God, no, wait, I will be getting on my flight. Well, I'll be able to catch like the first half.
You gotta get this figured out. Yeah,
I know. Well, now this is the first time I'm really thinking about it because I'm coming back on Saturday and I kept thinking I was coming back on Sunday. That's why my days are all mixed up. So anyway,
if our game doesn't get moved, like I don't even know. But I don't know how much in stone. I know it got flexed earlier in the year, so it might be too late to unflex it or deflex or reflex. I don't know what the word is.
You really can pretty much, very close to the date. But yeah. That also is a lot of other moving parts. You have to be able to get it scheduled. But I think they're going to stay at that time. So yeah, I'm going to try and catch a good chunk of it, at least live, and maybe watch it back. But so Chase, with all this being said, all the show at the end of the show now, I'd love to get everyone's predictions. So give it to me. Where you landing?
Well,
as of right now for Saturday.
Yes, as of right now, Tuesday in the afternoon. Yeah. Even though we have a ravaged offense due to the positive COVID tests, I'm still pretty optimistic about this game. we usually play pretty well under Stefanski at home. Usually we do a good job of either winning the game or keeping it competitive. We here at NFL.com right now, we have the 4th ranked defense and the 4th ranked rushing offense. And the Raiders have the 29th worst rushing defense and the 20th defense. And so I think if we play to our strengths, they do have a good passing offense. But I just love our defense. I love the pressure they're able to create. I love all of the resources and capital this front office has put into our defensive backs. I think we have an incredible rookie class, and just an incredible last couple years of corners and safeties. Delpit, I thought, had a great game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Newsome is still in concussion protocol, but I mean, he, as of Tuesday, I potentially could rejoin the Browns, who was really almost overshadowing Ward until that Bengals game. With this season. And so I think we have the team that can withstand a couple hits on our offense and still probably beat this Raiders team, who has just gone through their own sense of whirlwinds this season, who were playing great at the beginning of the season. The issues with Gruden, his firing, then their all-star receiver got arrested, killed a person with drunk driving.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just like trying to figure this out. And it really feels like they kind of rolled over last week against the Chiefs. They got shellacked. It was bad.
They did.
And so I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday, but I feel like a team that's gone through that much, who just got crushed by a divisional foe, against a team like us who is trying to make this happen, I'm feeling really good about this game. I don't know if we're going to cover the 6.5, but I see a heavy dose of Chubb, and I see our defense stepping up and maybe overextending themselves trying to make a play, which might hurt us with a couple big plays against us. But I think it's going to be a tough day for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 5 of their last 6 games, and yes, they've gone through on a personnel level quite a few major hiccups. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, I certainly, before all the COVID stuff happened, I was a lot more confident with getting a win. It's still certainly winnable, and I think it's going to be, every week has been a test, and I think it's been a different test every week. And this one, I think, is going to be different because we are facing more adversity than we have in a while. And we're also mentally bruised. So I'm worried about them getting it done. Our team is in the
concussion protocol, essentially, is what Holly's saying.
100%. We really are. Oh my God. I don't want to be negative.
I'm not negative. You're going to say we're going to lose. You are going to call it. I can't believe you.
I know. And I think it's going to be close, but I love, Jeremy and I always say, we love to be proven wrong. I love when I'm wrong with the Browns. So like, I don't know. If we lose, well, then let me go to Green Bay. Yeah, I just don't have a good feeling, but it's Tuesday. I don't know. It could change. I could change my mind by the weekend. That's happened to me a couple times where like day of, and I'm like, fuck, I am in. Like, yes. I am in. So let's see what happens the rest of the week. Right now, we're a little down and out. We are certainly beat up on both levels. So let's see.
Look, I think Chubb, is a lot of pent up frustration. He ran so hard both games against the Ravens, which that was really weird, by the way. Ravens by Ravens. Like, I don't like that at all. I don't think anyone liked that. But Chubb ran hard and didn't get a lot of yards. I could totally see him going for over 200 yards against this team. And I don't think that is a huge reach. I think almost a lock that he's going to get over 100 yards as long as he remains healthy. But I think we're going to hear a Jim Donovan, Nick Chubb call. I'm going to give a score prediction, Holly, and I think this is going to begin. I'm going to look into the crystal ball. I'm rubbing here my crystal ball.
Oh God.
No, I really believe that last week's game victory and the momentum that we create against this Raiders team is going to help us go into Lambeau. We're going to see this Brown swag that we loved and that we wanted to see all season. And I really think that we can win in Lambeau, Holly. I really do. We have the talent, and I know I'm looking ahead 2 weeks, but I don't care. I'm not going to be on this pod in the next couple of weeks. The Browns are going to beat the Raiders. We're going to go into Lambeau. We're going to beat the Packers. Strong. Oh my gosh, we're going to we're not going to lose the rest of the season.
But that's the key. That's the key word is we could. We have the talent. Come on. There's Believe so many things I want to so badly. We need to refocus. So we will. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it on Chase's.
Look, Chubb over 200 yards. Browns 24. Raiders 20. There we go.
Okay.
Browns 24. Raiders 20. Let me give you a Green Bay prediction. Browns 38, Green Bay 35.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You're never coming on this pod again.
That's fine. That's all right. And that game is going to be the game. Eli, you can save this clip. So whenever it happens, you could just like run it every time Holly and Jeremy crap on Baker. Baker is going to change his narrative in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers in that game, Christmas Day. Holly, mark this down. Baker is going to change the narrative of him as a franchise quarterback with us.
Did that bleach start to leak into your hair and into your head there?
It's going to happen.
I don't know. Okay.
You call me crazy anyway. It's all good. Jeremy is going to be jealous. He missed the crazy optimistic Chase again on the pod.
No, I'm glad we have it. Someone needs to do it because him and I won't. So I'm glad. I want to get back to just that overwhelming sense of just joy and happiness and proudness of the Cleveland Browns. And it's just been a really tough season. And I think when you face adversity like this, we're not going through anything that that anyone's gone through outside of like parents and calling our quarterback out, that's the strangest fucking thing. But outside of that, like we're not going through anything more than any other team has. It's certainly easy to overcome, not easy to overcome, but able to be overcome. We do have the talent. We need to get smart. We need to focus. And then, so that's going to be the biggest piece is if we focus on the fundamentals of what we know, we're smart. We're not trying to hurt ourselves with penalties. We go back to the run game, like you said, with Chubb hopefully having a big game. We refocus that for the better part of the team and everything else going on in the organization. And that's what they have to do. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I hope they can.
Well, they're going to be able to do it because you're going to hear a lot about Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's going to have an incredible last little bit of the season here. Kareem Hunt's going to be healthy. He's going to be back, fresh legs. He's going to be rocking the joint. And Baker's going to prove all the doubters wrong in Lambeau Christmas Day. And Miles is going to have at least 6 more sacks the rest of the season. Miles is, I don't know. Holly, I'm all in. And this is what this pod has missed. You know, I don't know if you've been getting my notes every week after every show.
Oh no, we get them. Don't you worry.
No, I do not send Holly or Jeremy.
I know. I'm talking about our text thread.
Oh yeah, that's a great thread. But hey, we're bringing the positive vibes back, and it's all going to be great. And you just you wait, Holly Wetzel at Holly Ann on Twitter. Just you wait.
At Holly Ann Liz. Chase,
Holly
come
Ann
on
Liz.
now. If you're going to call my Twitter out, man, you better get it right.
Just you wait. And you'd be like, and you're going to shake your head and be like, that Chase was right. I tell you what.
Well, and maybe I'll bleach my hair then after, because if it works, then I might have to go back to being a blonde. Well, we'll see what happens. I certainly hope that, we're talking about AEW and talking about how Chase knew what he was talking about. So big game on Saturday. I'm excited and nervous, and I will hopefully be able to catch as much as I can.
Did you give a score prediction? I said 24-20.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'll say 27-24.
Raiders. Who has some big plays for us? Who's going to play well against the Raiders, Holly?
I think the run game for sure. I think it would be great to have Kareem back. I don't know what is going to happen with that, but he's such a freaking beast. I mean, between the two of them, obviously, but no, I think the run game definitely will play a big factor if that's what Stefanski doesn't abandon super early. And that's where I think we're going to grow. I just don't see Baker getting much better the rest of the season. I think what we're going to see from him right now is what we're going to see from him for the rest of the rest of the season. So
Well, that felt personal, but it's okay.
Yeah, we'll see. Holly. I know. Well, Chase, thanks for your positivity today. Much appreciated. And thank you for stepping in today and chatting with me. I feel like we could probably go on for hours.
We really could.
But we wouldn't do that to everyone else. So
we could do a whole hour probably just on Succession.
Oh, we should. Maybe I'll come on your pod, Chase, and we'll just talk all
Let's do
TV.
it. Let's do it. You know, we do have a TV movie podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. Up next, Kristen and Christina, they do an incredible job.
Yeah.
They wrapped up season 1 a couple months ago, gearing up for season 2, so it's going to be good. Holly, safe travels.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Enjoy the beach and the sun and the warm weather.
Thank you. Yes.
And it'd be good to catch as much of the game as you can.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that does it for us on the Oranges Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. Chase, thanks for joining us. Big game on Saturday. Go Browns.
It's the story